What's up, guys? Today's project, stiffening up the front end of my Dodge Ram 2500. I ordered this, I'm not sure what we call it, but basically it's a brace that goes from frame rail to frame rail. It's going to go ahead and bolt up right where the sway bar bolts up. So we pull the sway bar down, this goes up, and then we bolt the sway bar back up and replace the sway bar bolts with these new ones that are a little longer. And then we take off the nut on the bottom of the steering box where the pitman arm connects to it, and we replace that nut with this washer and this nut, and that gives this shaft at the bottom of the steering box, which goes into here, which basically stiffens up the steering box. So rather than the steering box just being bolted to the side of the frame, which when you turn the steering wheel it allows it to flex just a little bit, this is going to strengthen it right down at the bottom on the other side of the, right where the pitman arm actually spins back and forth. And it's supposed to tighten up your steering a little bit. There's probably, I don't know, 20 different, maybe even more of these on the internet that I saw. Prices ranging from like 45, 50 bucks up to 200, basically the same thing. They all pretty much were the same idea. You know, some of them were like stamped steel, some of them were welded like this, looking like a trailer hitch. You know, so some of them had the welds, some of them had less welds than others, some of them had thicker steel. They all seem to have pretty much the same bearing setup on it, which is greasable. Like I said, and this goes in just to stiffen it up. So I think I paid 70 bucks is like a middle of the road one. I don't even remember actually. I went back and forth for 20 minutes trying to decide. I looked it up online. I guess they all work. They're all going to be pretty much doing the same thing. So I didn't see the need to spend anything more than, you know, something decent. So this one had decent reviews and comes with everything you need to do it. So this should be a pretty simple install. I'm going to go ahead and see if we can film the process, and hopefully I don't run into any snags. The other thing I noticed, I've been going over bumps. I've had like a slight rattle, which I thought was my shocks. But when I came under here to look at the process of, let me see if I can get a light here. When I came under here to look at the process of installing this, I noticed that my sway bar, I don't know if you can see that, the sway bar bushing, but there's actually like, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch in between the bushing and the actual sway bar. And it's like that on both sides. So this sway bar is actually bouncing up and down when I hit bumps. Trust me, if you, see if I can get you at the right angle here. I think you should be able to see light. Yeah, there you go. See the light going through? That's a wide open space right there. That is definitely too loose. Let's try out my latest Milwaukee purchase. This is the brushless 3/8 M12 stubby impact wrench. Supposedly it's got a lot of power for its size, so we'll see. That was pretty impressive. Yeah, there you go, now you can see. Look at all that play. issues. New lock washer that it came with. Let's go here. Okay. Now the torque on this is, I believe, 200 pound-feet of torque. The last I looked anyways. That's what I'm going to try to put it to with my torque wrench. I want to make sure I got a socket that's going to fit over this. Alright. Got nothing that's going to fit over that. It's like an extra deep socket that I don't have. So, I'm using the one size fits all. Leverage. Okay. All right, so we got nice tight bushings there now. Took care of that problem, and now we got to put this bearing on. Looks like I might have just a little bit of elongating, like people mentioned. Maybe not. Really close. Rather than forcing it though, I think we're going to go ahead and elongate them. Always some type of adjustment that needs to be made on aftermarket parts, it seems. But Dodge doesn't make these, so let's take a drill bit and see if we can't wallow out this hole over that way just a little bit. Okay, where'd that washer go? There it is. There. Just about on there. So I guess this is the difference between good and cheap parts. Some modifications necessary, but we're good now. Alright, that drips of paint. Alright, now we just got to tighten these set screws on that shaft, put some grease in it, and we're good to go. Spray this whole thing down with a little bit of silicone to slow down the rust a little bit. I grab my grease gun. If you guys haven't used one of these grease gun ends, Lock and Lube, they're like 30 bucks, but they're absolutely amazing. They clip right on and they come right off. If you do a lot of grease gun work, if you have a machine with a lot of grease fittings like a Walker mower or a Bobcat, or even for just cars, you know, and of course I've got the Milwaukee battery. All right, as I was so rudely interrupted by my battery going dead in my GoPro, as I was saying, if you guys have not tried one of these, they are the best thing since sliced bread. You know, you have your typical end on your grease gun, just even a hand grease gun. It doesn't have to be able to be a Milwaukee power gun, which is awesome in its own way, but it is expensive. It took me forever to actually pony up the money to get one, but you remove this tip on it and you replace it with this tip here. Again, it's called a Lock and Lube. Lock and Lube right there. Made in South Africa. Okay, that's interesting. So it also comes with this rebuild kit. It's basically comes with new seals and whatever is inside this that makes it work good. So apparently after a period of time you can rebuild it. But it is pricey. They have like a longer version, which I think is like $39, and then there's this one that's $29. I'll tell you, it seems crazy for a end of a grease gun, but this thing is amazing. I mean, you just clip it on and this thing opens up and you clip onto your grease fitting and wiggle it around a little bit. It kind of like tightens up on it really good. And I've had a lot of grease fittings that I could not get grease in with one of these types, and this will actually hold on to it so well that the grease will go in and it'll force its way through. And one of the biggest problems, I'm sure we've all had it before, is when you try to get this off of the fitting, it's like ends up getting stuck on there, especially if there's built up pressure in there. This, I've yet to have an issue ever taking it off. You basically just push this button and it releases these tongs or tangs or whatever they're called, and boom, comes right off every single time. I'll put a link in the description for this if anybody's interested. I just bought this one to put on this gun. I have one I've been using for a long time on my hand grease gun, but I barely ever use the hand grease gun anymore now that I have this one here. And the other cool thing about it is if you do have the Milwaukee, it still fits in this little holder on the side to store away your hose. So, but anyways, we're all set here. I don't know where the battery died off, but I tightened up those bolts. I have not given it a test drive yet, but I'm sure I'm okay. We replaced these worn out bushings. So, as you can see now, no space in between the bushing and the sway bar. And then we've got that bar all connected up to strengthen up the bottom of the steering box. So I went and greased the whole front end, which it didn't really need it, but it's always nice to make sure you have enough. And we're ready to go. I'm gonna go give it a test drive, and I'll let you know in a future video how well it works. All right, guys, thanks for watching.